Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajudeen, has withdrawn a bill that aimed to make voting mandatory for all eligible Nigerians. The bill, which he co-sponsored with Daniel Asama Ago, was meant to change the Electoral Act 2022 to encourage more people to vote and strengthen democracy. A statement on Monday by his media aide, Musa Krishi, said the decision to pull the bill came after speaking with many people and groups across the country, adding that from the start, the goal was to get more people involved in elections and strengthen democracy by boosting voter turnout, and the bill had passed second reading in the House on Thursday, but it sparked debates. Some people supported it, saying it would lead to better voter turnout, while others said it would take away personal freedom and would be hard to enforce in a country as diverse as Nigeria, adding that countries like Australia, Belgium and Brazil have high voter turnout thanks to compulsory voting, but stressed that Nigeria must find its own way that suits its people. Many Nigerians had spoken against the bill, urging leaders to focus on solving problems like election violence, lack of trust in the system, and poor planning on election days, issues that stop people from voting. What do you make of this story, Dr. Boma?
Yes, I would first thank the Speaker of the House of Representatives for having a rethink on this matter. There are several factors that will make compulsory voting in Nigeria very impossible. Every day people turn 18. Every day people turn 18. And we don't have an automatic system where these voters or prospective voters who will turn 18, even on the election day, you know, to update them and give them the necessary apparatus to vote. It's not an automated system. So I'll be 18, for instance, on the 23rd of February when we conduct the election, and I am denied voting that day. 2 weeks after, you arrest me for not voting. Whose fault? That's one. The second one is security. We have not solved the problem of security on election day in this country. How would you be able to control the crowd? I mean, in my small unit in Opobo, I have over 400 voters, you know, eligible voters in my small unit. Over 400. How many security men do you bring there? Unarmed. How, if there are crises or if there is any kind of crisis in that unit, how do you control the, the crowd? And our security men are not trained for election purposes. All they will do is just come there, shoot tear gas, and then those old people who are not able to, who are maybe having underlying heart conditions, will just inhale tear gas and go. It happened in this country. Okadiwo died, after inhaling tear gas because, he had this heart condition that wasn't living. So there are so many other issues. Let's talk about even our votes in this country. In several quarters, we have argued that our votes haven't counted in this country. So even if you bring angels to come and vote, the system will still find a way to make sure that, the votes don't count. It's unfortunate that in our country, we have good laws, very fantastic laws, in this country. But how do we implement these laws is an issue. So the Speaker of House of Representatives reversing himself on this compulsory voting, I think is a welcome development. He needs to look at that bill again and then answer these necessary questions: security, ensuring that voters, the votes count on election day, and then the age of those who will turn 18 weeks or days before the election day should be captured automatically. And then our fundamental human rights. I have a freedom of association. It's my civic responsibility to vote, but it is not compulsory that I must vote by our own constitution. It's just civic rights. It's not a criminal right. It's a civic right that I should go out and vote on election day. I can decide not to vote. Okay, there could be factors. Okay, let's say that and of course there's no transport. You can't drive on election day. My polling unit, for instance, those who are in Port Harcourt, there's no polling unit on Ada George. You trek all the way from Ada George to Ikwere Road or to My 3, where your polling unit is. Imagine a violent situation before you get to your polling station. and then you go back to your house because you have to save. You have to be alive first for your family, and then the next day you are arrested for not voting. So who will come to court and testify that he was the one shooting on the election day that prevented you from voting? Nobody is coming to do.
And you're not going to have time to start recording that shootout.
Your life first.
Your first thing is to save your life.
The first thing is to save your life. So I think Abbas Tajudeen must have been advised. Like he said, he consulted widely, and stakeholders have advised him that compulsory voting in Nigeria, we are not mature enough to propagate such law.
But one would be thinking that they claim to be representatives of the people at the national level. They claim to be the people, the persons that feel the heartbeat of their constituents, and as such speak in favor of their constituents. One would think that if they actually do want to look into the electoral act, reforming the electoral act, they will be concerned about voter apathy that is on the increase in Nigeria. And the truth is that after the 2023 turnout, after the turnout of the 2023 national elections or general elections, I am very skeptical if the same momentum can be gathered for 2027. That's on one hand. Recall what transpired in Lagos State, where particularly in Lagos State areas where the people from the south, southeast, south came out to vote. What happened? In fact, Lagos State during the general elections took a very ethnic turn that was very, very dangerous. And up until date, nothing happened. In fact, the arrowhead of that particular crisis in Lagos State, who was also caught on camera saying those things, unleashing mayhem and violence with his boys, was rewarded. One would now look at the consequence management and the reward system of the powers that be in the country and how it encourages electoral violence. And then one will also look at the trust deficit between the masses and the government, between the masses and INEC, as it were. Because, do you trust INEC? Do Nigerians trust INEC? Some Nigerians up until date registered for voters card and have not seen it. And there were allegations of voters card being sold. There are allegations of beavers being manipulated. There are several allegations. INEC has come out to say that they have a lot of litigations on their head at some point. And one would wonder that if the National Assembly, they are so bothered about people voting, large number of voter turnout in the 2027 election, they should look at the underlying issues that are affecting people, Nigerians, from coming out to vote and address those issues. Would one say that this compulsory voting is misplaced priority, as it were? And is it an indication that these National Assembly members are far removed from the reality of everyday Nigerians?
You are 100% correct. See, your comments has already answered. You presented the problem and you also presented half of the solution to the problems you presented. Let's start with the speculation that Nigerians, total number of our population is about 250 million, right? Let's also say that we have about 77 million registered voters in Nigeria. By INEC records, we have less than 50 million persons that have collected voters card. Let's also look at the figures of those who voted in 2023. Total vote cast in 2023 was less than 20 million. Far less than 10% of Nigerians, far less than 20% of the total registered votes, far less than 50% of those that have collected their PVCs and are ready to vote in this country. So that's where the fundamentals, that's where the issue is. Because if you want to destroy a massive structure, if you hit it from the top and leave it, it can be repaired. And then that structure will still be there, right? If you want to completely, you go to the foundation, you solve the problem of the foundation, or destroy the building from the foundation. So all these crimes, all these voter apathy, all these, people threatening voters in Lagos and all that, that have been rewarded today, is because the foundation is faulty. Like I said before, we have good laws in this country, but we don't implement these laws, especially when our persons are involved. So the election of 2023 was a very big lesson to Nigerians. For me, it's a proof that governors don't win election in this country. Our governors shouldn't be able to win elections in this country. The elections, the power to vote belongs to the people. And 2023 was a good example of that, philosophy. If the people take the power, politicians will beg us.
Yeah.
So, put all these framework together. What should we do? Not compulsory voting. Compulsory voting is not the way out. Making voting compulsory for somebody who doesn't even have a PVC, for INEC who is not even ready, their budget has been slashed, INEC doesn't even know, they're doing a delineation of units today. They're adding more units and removing some units that they claim have not been effective. You have not traveled to that place.
So how did you get
information? He said people fed them with information. They have security reports and all that. So, but all this is in the interest of one man. Go and look at it. It's in the interest of one man, not in the interest of this country. So, compulsory voting will not work, like I said, and I stand by it. It will not work.
Okay.
What will work for us in this country is electronic voting. Let me sit down in the comfort of my house and vote.
And it will be reading in real time.
Exactly, in real time. It will reduce violence. It will reduce the rigging, even though the system is garbage in, garbage out. It is what you tell the system that the system will project, right? But then it will reduce the amount of electoral fraud. And then you know that somebody who is sitting down on the system monitoring it is holding Nigeria, the fate of Nigerians. If you rig it, we will see it. So that is what we should work. House of Representatives should tell us, why would beavers not work on election day? Why shouldn't beavers work on election day? Beavers should work. Electronic reading. These cards are, they spend so much money, to get electronic readable cards. So why won't the cards work on election day? Why shouldn't the beavers work on election day? That technology is one of the most beautiful. Gambia came here, took it from us, and is effective in Gambia. A lot of African countries came here and borrowed our beavers' idea.
And yet it's not effective.
And everything we start in Nigeria. That's why I say we have beautiful laws, but implementing them is. Look at Malaysia. Yesterday they were one of the poorest countries. They were one of those poorest countries. They came here and looked at us and said, okay, this is your palm fruit. We can turn it to an economic tree in our country and use it to sustain our country. And they did it over 40 years ago, and it has become the mainstay of the economy. They don't have oil.
They have palm oil.
They have palm. Of course, it's oil.
With a fruit that was gotten from
Nigeria. And do you know that they have enhanced that fruit through technology over years, and then they have seeds that can produce in less than 3 months. Enhanced fruits that can produce in less than 3 months, or about 3 months, 90 days they are grown. They use this for cosmetics, not just for soap now. They use it for cosmetics, and they use it for medicals. So the problem we have in Nigeria, making laws for tomorrow, but executing those laws
is an issue.
Is the issue.
All right.